So this is our futuristic city. Each building serves a unique purpose and has many different futuristic elements to it. Our city itself is floating and has different illuminated thrusters on the bottom to help recognize it from the ground. There's also a space/research center which couples as a globe to real-time model Earth's tectonic movement and anything else. Anything that goes wrong with the Earth, such as global warming, can be easily identified and the root cause can be eliminated. Due to many civilizations and humans going to outer space, we had to develop a more advanced communications tower to stay in contact with them. Losing contact with them would be disastrous, and that's why that was developed. Next to that, there is a greenhouse park which is always acclimated to a springtime weather. And if, say it's winter and you don't want to really spend time in the cold, you can go to the greenhouse and have some fun in the sun. There's also a transportation dealership which sells all manners of different kinds of transportation, such as flying bikes, planes, and other things like that. Next to it, there's a little refueling station which lets people charge up with energy and get their modes of transportation to wherever they need to be. There's also an advanced hospital with many different elements that can treat many different illnesses, diseases, and has a bionics system for amputees and stuff like that. There's also a school which has pre-K to college, and it's such a massive building because there's so many different new fields with new technologies coming out. There's also a mall, very huge. It has many different kinds of stores inside and can sell almost anything imaginable to what you want. There's a big grocery center which has all kinds of foods, can whip up foods for you and sell it to you. You don't even have to go through a transaction system because it's infrared, and whatever you take, it will scan it and then it will send you the thing, and then it will detract money from your cryptocurrency. And speaking of cryptocurrency, we have a bank that runs it. Cryptocurrency is the currency of the future because it's very portable, it's hard to hack, and there's other great things about it. And the bank facilitates cryptocurrency exchanges between peoples, businesses, and other things like that. There's also a row and a housing complex for all our residents. Each house is very huge and spacious and can fit many different people inside. There's also a water station/water tank which gives water to all the different buildings in there. It also, since the city is floating, can absorb water moisture through the air and collect it if it's running out. There's also an entertainment center which has different kinds of entertainment like movies, television, games, and other things like that. There's also one last thing, one more building, and it's the business center. The business center lets people view and see different businesses run it, and it runs the stock market exchange. This is our futuristic city.
The planning we used for this was different from other groups because we used a game called Minecraft as our blueprint. It is able to model our city in 3D, letting us visualize what our city would be like if we made it, and we were able to realistically model how our city would look if we were to make it. This game also allows use of free reign of different commands to make the building process simpler and easier to use, as most of our members have thorough experience with this game. This also makes the calculations of the buildings easier, as there is only one kind of measurement per block. There are also no decimals or anything else to make the calculations harder. All the numbers are whole numbers. The actual building of the city was a long process. For each building, we had to create precise measurements lining up with decimal lengths for our nets. We added tabs to different parts of the net to make it easier to glue. We had to individually cut out the roads, and we glued them at an equal space. Once all the nets were created, we glued the tabs together. For the composite figures, we glued 2 figures together. The transparent cone took a lot of effort. We had to create a cone net and glue the cone together. After that, we had to cut out a portion and precisely measure the amount of plastic needed. We had to tape the final products together. For the trees, we used toothpicks and stuck a crumbled, painted green strip of paper on each tree.
Challenges we had. We faced issues with the cone, as the see-through parts were very unstable and fragile. Along with that, we had to work around the fact that it was quite difficult to have the cone still being able to stay standing while having the see-through window. We also struggled with the making of the nets. Mainly, this is because they were extremely time-consuming. When we began to run out of time, we were forced to rush on the nets, resulting in uneven lines and forcing us to start over, which made us waste more time. Finally, we could have improved on the way we painted. I feel that we could have drawn lines to guide our painting to make it neater.
There are several implications in this city. First of all, we used nets, which can be really helpful in the future if we're going to become architects. We also learned a lot of scale modeling, which will be helpful in the engineering field, for example, to model prototypes.
To prove that a city fits in 50 acres, we first had to find our scale factor. At first, we found a scale factor for a model to our blueprint. We decided the most effective scale factor would be 5 blocks to 1 inch. After we finished making our model, we found the best scale factor that would require the most of our 50-acre lot. We found this by multiplying the dimensions of our city. On the blueprint, our dimensions were 108 by 123 blocks. We multiplied 108 and 123 to get the total area of our city in blocks. We divide this by 2,178,000. This is because there is 2,178,000 feet in 50 acres. After we divided, we took the square root because we found the scale factor for the area, not each block. After we round down, we get the scale factor of 1 block to 12 feet. This is the optimal scale factor for us to use to get the most out of our 50 acres. It uses 1,912,896 feet, which uses 87.83% of our lot.